The Wise Weaver.
In the quiet heart of the village of Kembé, life was simple and beautiful. The people lived in harmony with nature, their days flowing gently like the river that ran beside them. This river was more than water, it was their lifeline. It gave them food, quenched their thirst, and filled their hearts with joy. Children laughed and played along its banks, while the villagers cast their nets into its clear waters, thankful for its endless gift. In one cruel and unforgiving season, the river, a lifeline of their world, began to wither away. Its once mighty, glistening waters shrank into a sluggish, muddy thread, a shadow of its former glory. Fear clutched at the hearts of the villagers, and whispers of despair spread like wildfire, casting a heavy pall of uncertainty over their once thriving community. A villager cried out, "What will become of us? Without the river, our fields will turn to dust, our crops will die, and we'll have no water to quench our thirst. How are we going to survive? The rains have betrayed us," said another, their voice filled with despair. "This is beyond our power to change." Yet, in the heart of despair, there stood a humble weaver named Eo, her presence a quiet beacon of hope. Eo was known for her wisdom and her intricate cloths she wove. Each thread she spun told the story of the village's history. Her hands moved with the grace of someone who understood the weight of time, while her eyes, deep and contemplative, held the weight of 1,000 thoughts, as though she alone could unlock the answers they so desperately sought. Afternoon sunlight filtered through the trees, casting a warm glow over Eo as she sat at her loom, weaving a vibrant cloth with steady hands. But her mind was elsewhere, troubled by the river's slow death. She knew, deep in her heart, that the fate of the river was entwined with the very survival of the village. Each thread she wove was a prayer, a silent plea for a way to restore what had been lost. Her thoughts swirled like the patterns on her loom, as she searched for a solution that could save them all. "If we lose the river, we lose everything," Eo thought to herself. "But perhaps there's a way to save it, if we work together." Eo called for a village meeting, and as the villagers gathered in a solemn circle, torches flickering in the deepening twilight, a heavy silence fell over them. Eo stood at the center, her presence calm yet commanding. Her eyes shone with a fierce determination as she looked at the familiar faces surrounding her. With a warm, steady voice, she greeted them, "My beloved people of Kembé, it is in times like these, when shadows grow long, that we must come together, not as individuals, but as one heart. The river's silence calls to us, and so must we answer, united in hope and action. Let us find a way forward, together. My friends, the river may be fading, but all is not lost," Eo said, her voice strong yet filled with hope. "I believe we can save it. We just need to think differently and act as one." The villagers leaned in, their eyes filled with a mixture of doubt and hope, hanging on her every word. Eo paused, letting her message sink in. "The river is not merely a stream of water, it is the heart of our land, our very spirit. If we stand united, we can breathe life back into it. We must work with nature, not fight it. Together, we can restore the balance that has been lost." She glanced around at the faces, some weary, some skeptical, but all listening intently. "It will not be easy, but nothing worth saving ever is. Let us find new ways to honor the river, to nurture it as it has nurtured us. Together, we will find a solution." The villagers exchanged uneasy glances, their faces etched with doubt. "How can we save a river that's drying up?" one of them asked, his voice laced with frustration and fear. "What power do we have against something so unstoppable?" A heavy silence fell over the group, the weight of their uncertainty pressing down like the darkening sky. Eo stood still, her gaze unwavering as she took in their fears, her resolve only growing stronger. Eo's voice rang out, clear and steady as she explained her plan, her words carrying the weight of hope. We must act with the land, not against it. When the rains come, we will build barriers to trap every drop, ensuring nothing is wasted. We will dig channels to guide the water where it is needed most, to feed the earth and nourish our crops. And along the riverbanks, we will plant trees, strong, deep-rooted trees that will protect the soil and hold the river's lifeblood in place. Her eyes swept over the gathered villagers, her gaze fierce with conviction. It won't be easy, and it may take time, but it's the only way. We have the power to restore what has been lost, but only if we come together and walk with the land, as we always have. It will take all of us, our strength, our unity, our will to survive, but together, we can restore the river. The villagers exchanged uncertain looks, their hearts heavy with doubt. But Eo's conviction, so raw, so unwavering, began to stir something deep within them. Her words ignited a spark, a flicker of hope they hadn't realized they were missing. Slowly, one by one, they nodded, their hesitations melting away like the first rays of dawn. If she believes we can do it, one villager murmured, then perhaps we can. With newfound resolve, the villagers began to speak, voices growing stronger with each passing moment. We will work together. For the river. Eo's eyes glowed with quiet triumph, knowing that the hardest part was done. The village had united, not out of fear, but out of a shared vision, and together, they would fight to restore the river that had given them everything. For weeks, the villagers labored tirelessly, side by side, their hands blistered and their spirits tested by the weight of their task. They dug channels deep into the earth, stacked stones with careful precision, and planted saplings along the river bank, each one a silent prayer for the river's return. Eo's colorful cloths fluttered in the wind, vibrant against the harsh backdrop of their hard work. Tied to poles, they served as markers, symbols of their determination and unity. The cloths danced in the breeze, reminding them that they were not alone in their struggle, that every drop of sweat and every aching muscle was part of something much bigger, a shared hope that the river would rise again. As the days passed and the work continued, the villagers began to feel the power of their collective effort. With each task, they saw how their strengths wove together, like threads in one of Eo's intricate cloths. Some were stronger at digging, others at building, while some knew the earth best and guided the planting with care. Slowly, they learned to rely on each other, supporting each other's weaknesses, filling gaps, and lifting each other up when exhaustion threatened to break their spirits. The bond between them grew deeper, rooted in something far stronger than the soil they walked. It was a bond of unity, of shared purpose, and as they labored together, they realized they were not just saving the river, they were saving themselves, becoming a stronger, more connected community in the process. At long last, the rainy season arrived, and with it, a miracle. The heavens opened, and the river, once dry and lifeless, began to flow again. The villagers stood in awe as the water surged, washing over the land like a long-awaited blessing. Their hearts swelled with joy and relief as they cheered and laughed under the pouring rain, their spirits soaring with the river's return. It was more than just the river that had been restored, it was their hope, their strength, their sense of unity. The river's revival was a triumph of creativity, persistence, and, above all, unity. Through their collective efforts, they had turned the tide of despair, proving that even the greatest challenges could be overcome when a community stood together, bound by a common purpose. And as the rain poured down, the villagers knew in their hearts that the river's return was only the beginning of the new chapter they would write together. Eo stood quietly by the river, watching the once dry banks now alive with laughter as children played in the rushing waters. The vibrant cloths she had woven danced on the wind, fluttering like banners of triumph. A young girl approached her, holding a small piece of Eo's fabric, the same cloth that had marked their efforts. "Eo, how did you know this would work?" the girl asked, her voice filled with wonder. Eo looked down at the girl, her face softening into a knowing smile. "I didn't know for sure," she said, "but I believed in what we could achieve if we trusted each other and tried." The girl gazed up at Eo, her eyes shining with admiration. Eo's eyes sparkled with a light that seemed to reflect the very river she had saved. "That's the greatest lesson of all," she said, her voice rich with conviction. "When we work together, we can overcome even the greatest challenges. And that's the wisdom that will carry us forward, from generation to generation." The villagers, gathered around her, nodded in deep agreement, the weight of her words settling in their hearts. It was a truth they now knew to their very core, a truth that would guide them through whatever trials the future might bring. And so, the story of Eo, the wise weaver who had united them all, became a legend, a tale woven into the very fabric of the village. It was passed down through the ages, told and retold to remind each new generation of the power of unity, ingenuity, and hope. In every corner of Kembé, her legacy lived on, a shining example of what could be achieved when hearts and hands came together as one.